Hey, it's Nicole. Welcome back to the show. Here's a question. Are you an overthinker? Yeah, have you called yourself an overthinker? Has overthinking kept you from making a business decision that you knew you needed to make as soon as possible? Meet today's guest, Sandra Vanderlee. She's going to tell us all about how that showed up in her business. She's the founder of Damn Copy. Would you write the damn copy already? Just write it. She is a survivor of the Duenge fever, which is a big deal when you're an entrepreneur like she is who loves to travel. In fact, at the time of this recording, she has ran her business from 5 different continents. Big deal. And she is committed to doing 3 things: to stop the overthinking, to take big action, and to become unapologetically salesy. And she wants the same for you. Let's go.
Hey, if you're an entrepreneur who usually fast forwards intros just like this one, this is the podcast for you.
Hey, just a reminder, our show is brought to you by SmartCookie Media, where we believe data tells a story, and not just any story, your business story. As a subscriber to the show or as a client, you'll get insights on profitable, data-driven marketing strategies that work for you and your business, your industry. Not some cookie cutter trends, no. Ideas that are led by your customer data so you know they'll work for you. Connect with me on LinkedIn or Instagram to learn more. Everything's in the show notes. Now, let's get back to the show. How would you finish this sentence? You know you're an entrepreneur when?
I feel like I'm immediately in front of the firing squad. So I'm going to go with, you know, you're an entrepreneur when you wake up for the first time ever and you make money not working.
Wrong. No, I'm joking. By the
I
way.
mean, that's why you don't have
I'm
to
sorry.
agree.
I don't even know what this was mean. I'm sorry. But no, it was just, you said firing squad. Oh, please go on. Tell me more about that. Tell me.
Yeah, tell us more about that.
So, I mean, I have a long history as a service provider, and I think a lot of us start out that way, and it's great, and I love it, and I think they can be highly profitable and awesome things. But I didn't feel like a real entrepreneur the first time. Like, I opened my thing and PayPal said, like, hey, someone paid you $19 for this little digital product. And I was like,
While you slept.
that's the lie. I was sleeping. That's the lie, right?
Yes.
It's the while I was sleeping or on the beach or out to dinner, right? If it's in the office, it's not the same. It happened then, but it's not the same.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Tell me, what is it that you do? What businesses have you owned? What are you up to?
Yeah, of course. So almost 6 years ago now, I finished college, applied for a couple jobs, but by then I'd already kind of decided like jobs are a lie. You work 9 to 5, your reward for doing a really good job and making your company tons of money is 10% more pay, 50% more responsibility, 25% less time off. So I just ended up at a chamber of commerce being like, I'm going to be self-employed, but I have no connections, no like real skills for this. And I guess I'm going to do website design. So that's kind of how the whole thing started. So these days I run Damn Copy, which is a copywriting company where I sell done-for-you services and copy templates. And then I have a personal brand that's a lot more around like unapologetic sales. So I'm working on like a little mini membership over there. There's some one-on-one stuff. I like doing lots of different things.
Yeah. Well, you're talking to the right people for sure. For sure. So tell us, what's your story besides the college part? I like to go back a little bit farther before that to figure out what gave you the confidence to even say, forget the job thing.
So I come from like lines of kind of blue collar entrepreneurs. So if you go back through my family, there have been greenhouse owners. My biological dad, he used to invent and sell machinery. So there's like a history there. But then there's also, and like, it's a good thing my family doesn't listen to podcasts. There's a long history of going broke and having to sell the business, which although that, I think at the beginning, everyone's kind of worried how that was going to end up for me. And now everyone's like, well, wait a second. Because they're all, you know, blue collar, hardworking, long days, physical labor. And I'm like, well, I'm in my apartment in Playa del Carmen. And after this interview, I'm going to go to the beach.
Yeah. I love it. So I think even seeing that people survive after a business closes in not the way that anybody wanted to or imagined, or because of, debts or something, seeing it as a youngster, I think could actually still embolden you to still take the leap, because you're like, everybody lived through that. Like, it wasn't great and nobody loved it. And they wish they could. Right. Everybody survived. Like, if that was the worst thing, it's okay. So I think that there's something really powerful to see that at any age, to know that it works out. But I think there's something about when you're young and just kids are resilient when we just like look up at parents or aunts and uncles and we're like, they can do it. I can do this. And if I can't, I just can't die inside that job either. So I love that for you. Awesome.
Yeah.
So what's the name of the business before we go too far?
So I have my personal brand. I'm moving to the US right now. So that's just Sandra. And I have Damn Copy. I started offering this about a year and a half ago. And I was like, oh, I need this separate. This needs its own website. And I'm just sitting there like looking at domains and trying to come up with, and I'm literally just going, Damn Copy. And I go, wait a second.
Yeah. Awesome.
So that's literally where that business name comes from. But people love it.
Yeah, it's so fun. So fun. So what's something that people would be surprised about in your early days? I mean, certainly I'm surprised and jealous of you going to the beach shortly. But tell us something that they'd be surprised about in your early days as you're getting started.
Lots of people are surprised. I'm actually Dutch. I'm European. I'm not an American. And somehow, I know it's really hard to hear. But yeah, lots of people are like, you're from a Euro country, huh? For me, it's really interesting because when you start out, like I started out in Dutch, right? Which there's 18 million of us. There's not a lot. So in terms of market room, there's both more and less depending on how you look at it, right? Absolute numbers, there's way less. But if you figure out the right kind of niche or industry, you have opportunity because the competition's also a lot smaller. I just noticed that the people I got along with were not my country people.
Okay.
And that was really awkward to come into the entrepreneurial space and not like realize that like, oh, I enjoy the British and the Americans way more as collaborators, as clients, as business friends.
Oh.
Well, wait. Now, wait a second. Depending on your ratio of clients right now, which one do you like better, the Brits or the
make
pitch?
her do that.
What?
Oh, how could you?
Okay, you can take the fifth. I am an attorney.
I'll put it, no. I'll put it like this. So I'd much rather date a British guy for the cute accents, but the Americans are where half of my money comes from. So I have to choose the Americans.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, I love it. That's fair. So we met through the Tiny Team Toolkit, right? So you are somebody who is used to having several things on your plate and managing a couple different offers and already the personal brand, Damn Copy, all of that. Tell me, what is something that's just really difficult, that's just a bit of a rub in owning multiple things or rolling out multiple products?
What is it, right? So
Yes.
I've never been officially diagnosed, but I understood I have ADHD from the memes. Like, I'm not even making that up. That's how I understand. It's like, oh, there's more people like that. Is that what ADHD is? Interesting. I think right now I'm really running into the problem of like my capacity and my decision making. I'm the problem, basically. I'm the bottleneck. Everything stops with me. So at some point last year, I had a virtual assistant I love to work with. She knows all of my systems. We have some SOPs somewhere I wouldn't even know. Like today, I was looking for old emails. I have a team account that no one uses that gets all my newsletters. I find it there. Even though we have a system and a Google Doc with all of them, like, I don't know where the Google Doc is. I don't know the name. I can't find it, whatever.
My gosh, this sounds like me. This
like,
totally sounds like me right now. I'm like going, yes. Wow.
Yeah.
Like I've got the software. We've created the system. I didn't go utilize the system.
Right?
I don't put it in there. I don't know. I don't email it to myself. I don't put it in the calendar. I don't know because I know I got to be there at 11 o'clock. And then I get triple booked,
Yeah. So I think for me, it's the systems part where my brain doesn't work in a system. If I have a product launch and I'm like, oh, I want to create this product this week, I don't sit down and follow the steps. I just create the thing, I put the thing up for sale and then promote the thing. And that's the steps in my head. So what I'm seeing now is that I really need to formalize processes so I can get more help.
Yeah.
I think that's a really big struggle.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I'll have to send you a link to something that works really well for me because yeah.
Hit me. I need all the help I can get.
Okay, wait. I just want to tell you that this episode, it's brought to you by Run Like Clockwork. There is a book, there is a program, there's a boot camp, but I want to tell you the reason why this particular episode is here, in fact, the entire show, is because of one commitment I made to make sure my business runs like clockwork. If you're interested in what that system could look like for you so that you have more freedom and flexibility to do the things that you love, say, yes, I want my business to run like clockwork without suffering any type of burnout. If you want more information, of course, reach out anytime, but I also included a link in the show notes. Okay, back to the show.
Sandra, you talked about launching a new product. You said there's a process for that. What would you tell a friend that's looking at launching a new product or even starting a whole new business?
Oh, I'm like the just wing it team. And that's, probably the ADHD. I think that where a lot of people go wrong is they don't capitalize on their excitement and on that sort of initial burst. So I would almost always rather just do it and maybe do it wrong and don't do it perfectly, because then it gets done. And I think what differs my business from a lot of the people that I started with that are kind of lagging behind is that I actually go out and create the thing and do the thing and see if someone wants to buy it. Right.
Mhm.
Whereas they talk themselves into 12 different options and then 6 months later, they still haven't done any of them. Don't overthink it. We're not brain surgeons. So if we do it wrong, like how wrong can it really be? Use that excitement at the beginning because it's rare and it's what draws in the sales. If I'm excited, I feel like it doesn't really matter what I say in the email, what I say in the live, what I put in my group. People just feel that excitement and that's what kind of gets the ball rolling.
I love it.
What I just heard you talk about there was momentum. We know about momentum in sports all the time,
Yeah.
but it carries over to business. And Nicole reminds me all the time, you stack a win and you get another win and you get
Yes.
another win. And it's like you start to get those momentums in business. We know it in sports, but yet when we look at our business, we forget momentum is huge. And when you start a
Yes.
business endeavor, start a new product, do some sort of launch, there's a lot of excitement there. Like you said, capitalize off that momentum.
Mhm.
So tell me something that you have seen your clients struggle with. We all have to write copy. Now, not everybody should write their sales copy. Like some attorneys probably should not write any sales copy.
Easy.
I mean, no, you're
Easy.
different. You're
Easy.
different, Matthew. You're
Easy.
different.
Shots fired.
Matt and I go way back. So like
Yeah.
shots been fired since like 20 years ago. So yeah. But what is something you're seeing that entrepreneurs struggle with? You're like, this, you don't have to make it this hard. Like you guys, this can be a whole lot easier.
Overthinking.
Yeah.
Overthinking every word. Like just put something there and start writing.
Yeah. I feel like a lot of people, they will just keep editing instead of just writing, right? Like just like write it all down. Don't keep going back to make it perfect or how your English teacher would tell you to write it. Just like get anything down that you've ever heard anyone say about you or your product. Certainly goes hand in hand with overthinking because now you're just editing and playing with it. Anything else that maybe is an exercise that you'd walk somebody through?
What I always try to remind people of is if you write your own sales pages and your own sales emails, it's basically a love letter to your products and to your clients. And I feel like if you bring it back to its core, it's you've created a product because you like this group of people and you feel like it will really help them. And it's like we somehow forget. We somehow forget that we've created something incredible to help these people that we really, really love.
Yeah.
So just let it be about that. And then it becomes so much easier.
So that's where I'm messing up my sales copy because I'm a lawyer and I'm starting to think, do I really love my clients? Do I really love my, no, I'm joking. I'm joking.
I was thinking
crisis.
That's
I was thinking that the art of the love letter has been lost. So I was
Oh.
thinking men all over the country right now are like, oh shoot, I can't write that at all. That's what I think.
oh,
That's what I
geez.
was
Okay.
thinking.
Well,
Okay.
All right.
maybe start practicing and the other people in your life might, thank you.
Yes.
Yes.
That's what I'm
Awesome.
hearing. Thank you. Yes, exactly. My wife will appreciate
Marriages.
you guys. Good job, guys. Good job.
Follow
Awesome.
us for more marriage advice. We'll be here. Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely.
All right.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So everything sounds like it's going swimmingly. Tell us about an obstacle. You got something in there that you're like, hey, this is something that I see like people grind through or like I've been through. Give me something.
I mean, there's so many obstacles and most of them are in our heads. I actually went through a couple struggle years and I think I put that on my forum that if we wanted to, we could talk about that. But what I noticed was that from like not really making a living wage the year after I was sick, my business did 3.5 times the revenue and 3 times the profit last year compared to the year before. And it's really strange because on some level, being a success was almost just as hard as not being a success, like energetically and for how I felt and for the pressure and for like, can I replicate this? Will this hold on? At some point last year, I bought a new laptop because I was going to travel again and I have the MacBook Pro from 2019, which is a little wonky. I looked at my business bank accounts and in my budget and I was like, oh, I can just buy a spare and bring it. And then a week later, I dropped my iPhone and the facial recognition breaks. And you know what? I would have freaked out 6 months earlier. And now I just ordered a new one and my business paid for it and it was fine. And that really freaked me out.
Yeah.
How is this okay? I just spent $2,000 on electronics I shouldn't need. So it's like success kind of has its own sort of weird price where you have to become okay with it. And it felt like my identity had to catch up. And then everyone talks about the 6-figure. Now I've made 6 figures. I'm like, okay, but can we talk about $1 million? Because I mean, this was not that hard.
Right. Yes. Oh, I love that.
Well, let me ask you this question as far as obstacles. Has it been difficult trying to run your business out of Mexico and, these other spots that your business is not necessarily domesticated, as a legal term would be, out of there?
But this is just wild.
Yes, exactly. What's the challenge about doing that?
There's always other stuff going on. And I'm right now in Playa del Carmen. There's meetups and events, but every day of the week, including during lunchtime. There's a support system thing that's tricky. I came back to Playa del Carmen and one of my friends, we lived in Bali at the same time. So we met in Bali. He's in the US now. Last year, I went to the US. I came back and he left 10 days before me. And at some point, it's like all of my favorite people live at least 5 hours on the plane away from at any given point. Like, it's just me out. And then there's ADHD, right? Like, there's motivation or there is. So right now, like, there will be days where all I do is order a takeout and I haven't left the house in 2 days because I've been working on a big project and I cannot let it go. And there are days where it's like, but it's so sunny outside and I can go to the beach and there's an event. And then, like,
so you're
literally-
saying winters
Yeah.
in Chicago is an asset. That's what I just heard, Matt. I
Yeah,
just heard
I'd say
winter.
Yeah.
as long as you make sure you get enough vitamin D. I think, like,
Right.
take the winter in Chicago, but in the middle, like, come fly down to Mexico for a week
Yes.
so you get enough sunshine.
I like it. I
Yeah.
like it.
Well, let me ask you this question. You open the door a little bit more, especially in the form about some struggles and whatnot. Do you want to talk about that, Sandra?
Yeah, it's an interesting story. Like, I'm not emotionally connected to it anymore because it's in the past a few years now. So I'm happy to talk about it. So I was in Bali when the pandemic hit. I had a visa for Australia for the whole year. I was on retainer. At that point, I made more money than I knew what to do with translated to Australian dollars because the exchange rate was really favorable. So I was having the time of my life. One of my friends was in Bali. She kept sending me photos. Like, look at my co-working space. It has a swimming pool. Look at my $1 cappuccino. And at some point, I was like, okay, fine. I'll see you next week. So I flew down there. COVID became a thing and the borders to Australia closed. So I couldn't go back anymore. And I got infected with dengue fever, which is a tropical disease that mosquitoes spread it. And there's statistically a small group of people who gets affected really badly. And one of them was me. So I ended up in the hospital for a few days. And I had to make the phone call that you never, ever want to make to your mom. And it's like, hey, mom, I have a tropical disease. I'm in the hospital. 1 in 20 people die from what I'm currently in the hospital with. Like, that's a really rough phone call. And I don't think it really settled in. Like, I was, 27? And I always felt like I was never going to die. Right? Like, sober is always like, rock, cliff jumping. I love bungee jumping and that sort of stuff. And then what I didn't realize is that after a few days in the hospital, they can't really do anything. So they pump you full of fluids and it's up to your body to get rid of it. They let you go and it's like, okay, your life's not in danger. Good luck. And it took me about 6 months to be back into like full working order. So for the first couple of months, I would literally wake up, shower, eat some breakfast and go back to bed because I was down. Like the energy levels, because like the immune system gets such a big shock that it took me about 6 months to fully recover. So that was just a really rough time where like being in Bali during the pandemic and my business kind of saved me financially, especially.
Sure.
Because, Bali's so much cheaper. You can really tone down operations while still kind of floating through.
And were you able to work though? Because you sounded exhausted.
No, for a couple of months, I did a couple like little trainings. So I sold some stuff and I had a few clients on retainer where I'd literally just an hour, 2 hours. And some of them were really good. But also what happened when the pandemic started was that almost at the same time, like half of my clients canceled their contract. So this was the first series of lockdowns in the US. So my US clients were all like out the door.
Right.
Yeah. So looking back, that was rough. And at the end of the day, like towards the end of the time was when I was like, what do I actually really want to be doing? And I just wanted to write more, right? There's this really quiet thing that goes, I just want to write more. Oh, well, what do I want to write? I was like, I like writing sales pages, even though other people don't. And that's literally the start of damn copy.
Yeah. That's awesome. What a great
story.
Yeah.
What is one key lesson? Maybe it's from that, or maybe it's from something else that you learned as an entrepreneur that maybe you find yourself saying again and again to your team or to clients. What's one key lesson that you've learned that matters all the time, even today?
Just send this fucking sales email. I keep telling people that. One of my newest product ideas that I'm kind of tinkering on is like a mini membership about being salesy because we forget that most things we talk about as sales activities are not sales activities. No, tinkering on your sales page doesn't count. It doesn't bring any clients. No, updating pretty Canva graphics doesn't count.
Right. Yes.
An email.
Yes.
Yes. Oh, I love it. I love it. I feel like people right now are in a weird spot. We'll blame January, February. We'll blame the last couple of years catching up with everybody. I get frustrated with business owners because I work with so many that I'm like, well, this is still your business. You still have to make those decisions. Are you seeing people like in this like grind right now that they're just not quite pulling out the same way they usually do by now?
Yeah, but also I feel like it's been like that for the last 2, 3 years anyway. I keep hearing people go like, well, launches right now is hard because everyone's distracted. Oh, there's this thing. Oh, there's that thing. And I'm seeing it too, but I feel like at this point it's been dragging on for so long that if you're saying that to yourself, you need to figure out coping mechanisms and different systems because at the end of the day, you're still kind of a business.
I agree. I guess what I'm trying to get across to any business owner that's listening, that if you're on the fence about something, it really is up to us, all of us collectively. Small business owners make the world work. And we can all make the choice today to say, like, I'm taking one step forward. I'm going to send that email, or I'm going to do this thing, or I'm going to launch it imperfectly. I'm going to capitalize on that momentum. That we can all just say, like, yeah, we're going to do that. Enough of like hearing that something's looming and like danger around the corner. Like, we can do this. We got this. Because I feel like you just gave us literally a wake up call. You had to call your mom, give her hard news in the hardest time of like the collective world we live in. And you made it through that. And I feel like I'm looking at somebody who's just like, I just do the thing. Just do the thing all the
Yeah,
time.
I mean, I never want to say that someone's experience is not valid. But at the same time, it's like you chose to have a business. You chose this life. If you're always stuck in whatever the latest thing is that's happening, then the right time is going to be never. So like pack it in and get a job, right? At least you got vacation days. Get a job in Europe so you get proper vacation days. And
No,
a
there's the catch.
salary, like there's comfort.
There's the dig.
There's an
There's
idea.
the dig. I got it. I got
So let's yeah, well, the vacation day argument doesn't really add up there, but it's, right now we're talking about the beach, but since you love stories, I'll tell you another one.
Great.
I went to see one of my close business friends in California. Loved it so much. And I was like, I want to move here. And, that currently that's taking for me to separate my company, set up a new one in the United States, invest $100,000 into it, deal with lawyers, deal with tons of paperwork, figure out how business one is going to pay for business two, and like try to enjoy Mexico. My parents are coming to visit me in 2 weeks and I want to take time off. Like all of that is awesome and a lot, but also a choice. So it's this thing of, I think it's stuck in the story of like, it's so hard and it's so much work. And sometimes I do, right?
Sure.
If my friends listen to this,
Sure.
they'll get me on
Yes.
Vox. They're like, I had no electricity for 24 hours this weekend when I had lots of work that I was planning to do. Like, it just kind of happens. So you roll with it and you make a joke about it and you move on. But at the end of that, to me, running a business is a privilege.
Yeah. Oh, I
Like,
love it. I love
Awesome.
it.
Awesome.
So good.
Awesome. Let me ask you this, Sandra. How would you define entrepreneurial success?
for me, it's, doing really good work and making really good money.
Yes.
Awesome.
Mhm.
Nice.
I love it. What's next for you? Do you have a new idea percolating? You kind of talked about one, something you want to share with us?
I have a mini membership that I'm tinkering on that's all around being salesy. So I'm figuring out a way, like, how do we turn doing sales activities into a habit? How do we like train ourselves to do things that are scary? Because I think all of us think that we sell it every single day, but most of us really don't. And then this is for more in the future. But once I get an actual visa that allows me to work in the United States, I would love to do in-person events and like speak on stages. If you have an event, can I please come and like, I'm fun. Can I come and talk?
Oh, yes. I
Exactly.
love it.
In person is just so magical to me that I'm like, there's
Yeah.
something there.
Yeah.
So just host the mastermind event down in Playa, and then Nicole and I will come to your event instead.
Yeah,
We'll come to
I
your
mean,
event.
Throwing that
I
out there because
would've.
you don't want to come to Chicago right now.
I like it. I
Yeah.
like it. Sounds like
But
a
yeah.
business expense. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean,
Exactly.
come hang out with me. Like everything is a business expense. We'll talk
Yes,
about coffee. We'll do another
yes.
interview.
Oh my gosh, so
Awesome.
much fun hanging out with you. Speaking of, where does everybody find you? Where do they hang out with you online? Where do you actually show up and respond to them? Maybe in the comments.
Yeah, email is pretty much my favorite. If you go to the damn copy homepage, I mean, I have opted because we talked about my organizational skills. You can literally just opt into the general newsletter, then you'll see me pop into your inbox, reply anytime. People are always shocked, but I respond to my own emails now. Like at some point, customer service is going to have to be outsourced, but normal responses always come to me. Instagram is the other place where I kind of hang out.
You are a breath of fresh air, my friend.
Yeah. Thank you, Sandra.
Have a great one.
Okay. Bye.
Hey, it's Nicole, and that's the end of the interview. But stick around. This is the part where Matt and I break it all down and give you our favorite takeaways. Listen in.
One takeaway is we overthink, as she pointed out. So we make things so much more complex than they have to be, even case in point in her business. Like the fact that she came up with damn copy, like just blurting it out. It's kind of a great thing. I mean, it's great.
Yeah. And it speaks to her way of always just trying to capitalize on momentum. Just get something out there. Just do it. One other one that I thought was super helpful.
What else you got?
Is she said something that she's working on, but I think she touched on something that we all need to hear, which was she wants to do something that's about being salesy. Her pointing out, many of us think that we're selling every day, but we're not. I'm looking at my own to-do list right now, and there's a whole bunch of like things that I have to do, like, levers I have to turn in the business for someone else, for a client, because I haven't taught my team to do something. So I have to turn a lever, turn a key, turn a knob, whatever. I have to do this little transactional thing.
Yeah.
But below that line is more of my business development activities. And we have to remind ourselves that those business development activities, those sales activities, they have to be above the line too. They can't just be all the things that you just have to turn because you have to turn it. Hearing her say that she's working on that, like that's at least on my list. I'm paying attention to that. Now, I might be inspired and energized to be a part of that membership for sure. But I think it's for those that are trying to make it work. They need it even more. And how to sell to them that they need to be salesy, I think will be such an experiment. And I can't wait to watch how that unfolds for her.
It'd be great. The good news is we know she'll be able to capitalize off the momentum initially. You got to move with it. You got to go because what's going to happen is routine will set in and it might happen sooner than you think. And I've seen it so many times in my own business, in my own life, where you start to do something new or you start a new company, start a new product, you start working, you did a job in the corporate world. You had all this excitement.
Yeah.
And then before you know it, you're just boom into this little lull and you're just kind of in the routine doing what you've been doing or something.
And you didn't think about that fire that was lit. Oh, I love that. I love anytime we can talk with somebody who reminds us that, hey, maybe every once in a while, your MacBook, your laptop, it can be near the beach.
Yeah.
You can still have a successful business.
That was nice.
That was really nice. I'm jealous in the healthiest way.
Yes.
Well, folks, what we always say, if you're listening,
keep listening.
You've been listening to the Serial Entrepreneur Show, produced by the team here at SmartCookie Media.